Welcome to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Wes the Economist and Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist, coming to you live from the Wave Beach Realty Studios in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Call us today at 843-957-3872.
The holidays are almost here, so it's time to get your financial picture wrapped up so you can have a great Christmas and a happy new year. Reach out to me at coachwestc@gmail.com to get some financial coaching.
Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872. Hey guys, don't forget we go live every Saturday at 11 a.m. on 94.5 as well as 106.7, or you can stream us live at talkradiomb.com.
This segment brought to you by Eisenhower Dental. Reach out to them at 843-234-3110.
All right, guys, welcome back in to our newest episode.
I have no clue what episode this is at this point. We need to get better at this.
Yeah, I know.
I can tell you. Hold on.
Yeah, the last two.
No, that's radio show.
Yeah, the last two that you sent me, I uploaded on YouTube because you didn't put like what episode, but I still labeled them episodes. So I want to say because it was like season 2 episode. We were up to like 12.
Yeah, we're in 12
somewhere in there. Yeah, we were somewhere in there.
I actually tagged them on the podcast as far as what episode they are, but they're not telling me. I guess they're not telling people live though. I just on it. You can kind of hit it. And it tells you what's what.
Yeah, and on my YouTube videos, it says it in the description what episode and season.
Yeah.
So that
this
if you
is
go
about 12th or 13th episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're really that curious, just look at the description.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just
exactly.
recording so much at this point.
Yeah, we just
we're starting to add more stuff on social media. We just recorded a new blurb that's going to be going up on social media on the weekends, previewing the following week.
Yep.
So because we get hits on YouTube.
We are getting hits on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's coming with a vengeance. 40 subscribers.
Yeah, 40 subscribers already.
40 people like hearing our voice.
Your voice.
Yeah. Well,
I'm here.
5 of them are probably my family members. 35 other people like hearing our voice.
So, yeah, the COVID report. My gracious.
Yeah, so I didn't even know that it had come out, but I guess the House released a 500-page report. And I only have snippets of some of the fine points. I can't even imagine what's in the whole thing.
Oh, I imagine.
I'm sure it would be some interesting reading.
The mainstream media is just going to trash it.
Oh, yeah.
They're just going to say,
it'll be swept under the rug. It'll be gone in a week. Yeah.
So you got a clip from Rogan. You preview this, right? There's no words that I need to bleep.
There's nothing in here that I can think of that shouldn't make the radio. If not, we'll figure it out. But I don't remember hearing anything.
Post production, I will take it out.
Yeah.
So just listen as we listen live here, and if we need to go back and beep something,
if we have to beep it, we can beep it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we'll go listen to a clip from Rogan reading directly excerpts from the actual report that the House released. I'm gonna go ahead and play that now.
Sounds good.
The House released a 500-page report on COVID-19 pandemic. Key findings: COVID-19 likely originated from a lab-related incident in Wuhan, China. Crazy. You get banned from YouTube for saying that.
Yeah,
banned
from YouTube.
Okay, over $200 billion in relief funds lost to fraud, with criminals exploiting weak oversight. Prolonged lockdowns and arbitrary mandates cause severe harm. Economic devastation, mental health crises, and historic learning loss, while lacking robust scientific support. Policies ignored natural immunity, pushing mandates that eroded trust and harmed public perception of science. Absolutely. WHO and CDC compromised by political interference, offering inconsistent, unscientific guidance that fueled public distrust. And the key players included federal agencies, and Cuomo's administration actively obstructed oversight efforts and hid critical evidence.
Christ.
Select subcommittee on coronavirus pandemic basically said all the conspiracy theorists were correct. Every single one of them. No repercussions, no retractions, no apology from Rachel Maddow. None of it.
Wow.
It's kind of... I don't know. I knew all this. I knew this 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's just the fact that they're admitting it, but nobody's going to be held accountable.
And nobody's,
is wild to me.
Exactly.
It's just
nobody's
going to happen.
I mean, this should bring, and we may. I know we're going to talk about pardons some in this section because this is one of the people Biden's talking about pardoning is Fauci.
Yeah,
who was instrumental in all this.
Yeah, and my worry is if they're admitting that part now, what happens when they really start researching the vaccine and some stuff starts coming out about that? Because I guarantee you that they're going to find that some of the vaccine injuries and some of the problems that people are having now, they would have been substantially better off without taking the vaccine.
Which, as we're recording this, I'm thinking, YouTube bans you for all this stuff, so we'll definitely get banned for this episode.
They might. Well, I don't know. That the House release, I mean, that's coming straight from the government saying that this is all true.
We can't listen to the government now. It's not in control of the right people, so now they're false.
Yeah. Well,
I'm looking at this. I'm on Twitter. I'm sorry, I cannot use X.
That's fine.
And I'm looking to see who put this out. But it literally looks like it's a select subcommittee on coronavirus pandemic. So there had to be Democrats on with it.
Yeah,
I'm wondering what they actually say about this this whole report. I'm sure over this next week we're going to hear everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And this was actually dated December 4th. So we're really talking about this 2 days after it was released.
Yeah.
500 pages. It's probably just got read through by the first batch.
Yeah, it's just.
But if you look at that, I lost it. Where'd it go? Come on. I've actually got those points up he was talking about. So, number one finding likely originated with the lab-related incident in Wuhan. Now, I don't know if have you ever watched any Glenn Beck stuff?
I have, yeah.
He did a Wuhan report about a year and a half ago. I've actually got it on tape.
I didn't see that.
It's on his Blaze TV. And he literally went through a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And he has proof, and I got the documents on my laptop.
Yeah.
Showing the proof that what happened in Wuhan is
right.
October, November 2019. They had some kind of paramilitary games. It was almost like Olympic Games.
Yeah. And
they were having them in Wuhan. And when they came in, all these people were coming from around the country into there. They were giving masks and talking about this sickness that was there already. And the symptoms were very much COVID-like symptoms.
Of course, yeah.
At the same time, there was something going on in the institute where they ordered this special air filtering devices to be brought in an emergency type atmosphere. Never said what they were for, but something obviously had happened in the lab that they were worried about. They were these tens of thousands of dollars spent on this special technology.
Yeah.
And he actually walks it all down to the point where he has, this was funny to me. I mean, this takes a lot of money, and this is why he's always asking for funding.
Yeah.
But literally, all the emails they got from Fauci's office were redacted, obviously. Well, they didn't redact who they went to. So they literally did FOIA requests on everybody who'd get on the email list.
Yeah.
And every email they got was redacted in a different spot. So you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
They literally could recreate the email. He has it. He had this, like I said, over a year ago.
Right.
He had the emails and showing that they were involved. So all this, again, I mean, all this has been proven.
Yeah.
But nobody takes it seriously because it comes from Beck or it comes from this. It's conspiracy theories, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, they're all proven correct now. What my worry is, if they were testing something like that in a lab, like what else are they testing? Like what else are they trying? Like they're trying to come up with chemical weapons. Obviously, I mean that's what I mean. You were working on a virus that you didn't mean to release at that time. Like what if they had completed the virus and it was worse? And what then? I mean, what are they really doing?
If you follow it back to when they started this, again, this is coming from several sources. Beck was one I've read a lot, and this is years ago, so I'm pulling from memory. So forgive me if I'm a little off. But literally after one of the outbreaks, swine flu or the bird flu or something, there was a group put together and saying, we need to be ahead of this next time.
Yeah.
And so, as many things, I believe this started off as a legitimate, let's research this.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, they said, what if we develop these diseases first, and then we'll have a vaccine. Then we can kind of create the vaccine for it,
right,
and be able to be ahead of the curve,
right.
And then it turned into, well, let's really mutate these viruses, and to the point we get this COVID virus in Wuhan.
Right.
So if you go back, I think it's 2006, 2007, the driving force behind it was for good, but it turned evil.
Of course, it always does.
Because it turned into money.
Right.
I mean, in those email lists, there was people in Chapel Hill on these email lists, people out in Stanford or somewhere in California, one of the university's research facilities. All these people, and they knew about it. And a bunch of them, when they went into a meeting in January when all this was coming to light, a lot of them went in there saying it was Wuhan.
Yeah.
and coming out saying, oh, no, it wasn't in the lab. And then he traced a bunch of things like grants and all that were given to certain people, blah, blah, blah. So, as always, follow the money.
Of course.
As soon as the money got involved, it probably back in 2014 or 15, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then it got perverted.
Right.
To the point now they're trying to cover it up with money.
Yeah.
Because it said research funded with U.S. taxpayer dollars. That's the first key point.
Yeah.
And then right into $200 billion in relief funds lost to fraud.
Oh, yeah. People were abusing those loans that they were giving out and, fudging reports so they could get them forgiven. And so it's just taxpayer money going to people, a lot of them probably didn't need it. Some people definitely did.
Yeah, some people did.
Probably a lot of people did. But
the point actually says with criminals exploiting weak oversight. So you got the people who really need it, who probably got some of it. You got some business owners who probably didn't need it but took advantage of it.
Yep.
But then they're saying, to what I'm reading here, is criminals saw, oh, cool, this is easy money to take. Let's just take it.
And a lot of the corporations were able to take advantage of it because when you have that many employees, you're able to they were giving out millions and millions to those corporations, and they didn't need the money. No. They didn't need the money. So yeah, I took out a PPP loan, and I really needed it because I was keeping my assistant employed, and she was sitting at the house, and I wasn't making any money. I was like, I got to keep paying. I can't just not pay her.
Yeah.
And so I kept paying her. They forgave the loan. I took out a second one when the second round came out, and that's when everything was just starting to come back. Well, my business started doing well. Real estate, obviously, at that time started going nuts.
Yeah, especially right here. Then everybody getting away from the lockdowns.
And when I resubmitted my financials for like those last 2 quarters after I took out the loan, they said, well, you're not eligible for the loan now, so you got to pay it back. I paid it back. I had to pay back a $16,000 loan.
I'm sure you were one of the few that actually paid it back.
Probably. I could have probably fudged some stuff, but I was like, well, if I, it helped. It got me through, but I'm making. Yeah. I'm caught up, so I'm not behind.
As it's supposed to be.
Right. That was I used it for what it was for, but yeah, I'm sure it seemed very easy to take advantage of.
Yeah, exactly. With any time the government does something, it's very easy. When you go back to even Katrina, I mean, the millions of dollars that were given out fraudulently. I'm sure the same thing happened with Helena, even though we probably need to do another podcast on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been following what's going on in North Carolina. It's bad. I mean,
I've seen
really
clips here or there that it's pretty bad. I'm actually going to be up there. I'm going to be in Asheville at the end of the
that's
month.
right. Yeah.
The 26th, I'm going up, so I'm going to be able to see firsthand what's going, some of it.
Yeah. Number 3, prolonged lockdowns and arbitrary mandates cause severe harm. Again, we've been talking about this for years. I don't know if you were, I was.
Yeah.
It's economic devastation, mental health crisis.
Yeah. Being locked up in the house, the mental health. Yeah. I mean, it was rough for me. I mean, I was literally just grilling out every day, drinking pina coladas and making the best of it. But being stuck at the house like that and not having any outside activity takes a toll on you.
We here don't even realize. I mean, even in 2022, I heard about people in other states still in that kind of mindset.
Yeah. So a lot of states stayed so locked down for so long, like New York and some of these other mainly liberal areas. They just kept everybody locked down and with fear. And you're stuck in your house. There's a fear that this pandemic's going to wipe out everybody because of the way they're talking about it. You can't work. You can't go out and hang out with your friends. You're stuck there for 4 seasons. You're going to get depressed, and it's just and nobody's making any money. The government's having to float everything. People are taking advantage of loans. I mean, everything's just going the wrong way. Yeah. And then we come out of it, and everything's supposed to just be back to normal, and that takes. We lost a lot of time there.
The next point, historic learning losses.
I can imagine.
I'm seeing this in the classroom now. I've got COVID students now.
Yeah.
Eisenhower Dental, located at 107 Waccamaw Medical Park Drive in Conway, a place where you can find all your dental services, including general dentistry, cosmetic, restorative, and pediatric dentistry. Reach out to them today at their website, eisenhowerdental.com, or call them at 843-234-3110, 843-234-3110, and tell them Wes the Economist sent you.
Are you looking to buy a property in North or South Carolina and need financing assistance? Give Motto Mortgage Coastal Pros a call today. We specialize in residential loans in both North and South Carolina and can meet all your residential home loan needs. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872.
If you like the economics part of the show, then check out my podcast, Econ Sense. You can find it on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts.
You're listening to the Dollars and Cents Radio Show with Jonathan Edmond and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com. This segment is sponsored by Bobby Clary State Farm. Call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right.
See, the students I'm getting, they have some very large gaps, and they'll tell me. They said, "Oh yeah, when I was in school in COVID, we turned the computer on and go back to bed."
Of course, yeah.
And they just got away with it and didn't learn anything. I had several students tell me I didn't learn anything. I got grades, but I didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
But now they're hurting, especially my class is a buzzsaw. I mean, I'm known for being one of the hardest classes on campus outside of math and science.
Yeah, which it should be. It shouldn't just be a breeze. That's why I think the whole college system is extremely flawed this day and age anyway. I know that's another podcast episode. Go ahead and write that one down. The fall of the college scam empire.
And it's catching up with it. And I'm worried about now because there's a big push to make sure we keep enrollment up, which is, I understand that, but we got to put out a product. It's like anything else. If we put out a product that is not going to help the businesses locally or anywhere, they're going to stop hiring our graduates.
Right. And
there was one, I don't know which, well, I do know what college was, and I won't mention it on here, what my college. It's actually a university, that the community, they were putting out accountants into the community, and over this certain amount of time, they started getting feedback from the businesses that these people don't know what a debit and credit are. And literally what was going on is, I guess it was during COVID, maybe everybody was doing it online, and they were just cheating. And literally didn't know how to do a basic journal entry. And yet they get an accounting degree. Yeah. And I'm worried with everything going the way it's going that a lot of degrees are going to end up like that.
Yeah.
And they already are.
Yeah, I think the value the value of a degree has watered down so much that unless you're a very specific field, a very defined field, these broad business degrees and communications and all, they're so watered down, there's no value to them. If I'm looking at employees and I'm looking at, let's say, Monster.com or Indeed or one of these sites, and I'm looking at resumes, I'm looking at job history and consistency. I'm not looking at, oh, she's got a communications degree from here, a social studies degree from here, and she went for an extra 2 years at Horry Georgetown or Coastal or wherever. I'm looking at, all right, job history, experience, like what have you actually done in the real world, not on a college campus. And I think more employers are going to look that way. Now, obviously, if I'm looking for an engineer, or I'm looking for a doctor
or something to do with science,
or an attorney, I want to make sure you pass the bar. But,
and, I mean, a psychologist, obviously, if you get a psychology degree, there's not much there, but if you go on and get your master's and all,
or you can do psychiatry and you're learning more about medicine.
But all psychology degree holders are not going to go on for that. They just get 4 years and get out, and there's just not much marketability there.
Yeah, and I think part of it's the school system too. It starts in the high schools where they teach kids like, hey, the next step is you go to college, just get you a 4-year degree. They don't really. Like when I was in school, you'd have like the guidance counselors, and they would help you a little bit, but they're not really helping you figure out what you want to do with your. They're basically saying you just need to sign up and start taking classes. There wasn't much guidance to help me figure out what I want. I mean, obviously, I went for 2 years at Coastal and said, this generic business degree, I'm bored. Like, this isn't doing anything for me. I dropped out, and I've learned more from reading Robert Kiyosaki books and Audible books than I ever learned in my 2 years at Coastal. And it's nothing against Coastal Carolina. It's just there was no value there. I didn't see the value in what I was paying for. Because eventually you're going to want to return on that investment, whether you're an employee or an employer. And I just didn't see the value of that degree.
And that's the key. You do a cost-benefit analysis. And I do this with my sons. I may have told you this before. When they were going into college, I had one say, I want to be I want to go into psychology. And I was like, you sure about that? And, it's like, you don't want more specialty, but that's what he wanted. He said he was going to get his master's and all. So I said, well, let's sit down and see what it should cost you to get that degree. So we sat down and did the numbers, and literally we came up with a number, I think, of like $18,000 to $20,000 in debt only. So he had to work and make sure he stayed under that. I think he came in like at 16. And I'm not sure if he's paid it off yet now, but he went on and got his master's. He's now a licensed therapist. He's getting all his stuff in it. He's still young. He's like 20. He's about 4 years younger than you.
Okay.
So he's getting all his stuff in a row. He's just started a new job. He's moving. He's doing something with it.
Yeah. That's good.
So he'll get it paid off. He's going to get back. He's going to get enough value from his quote unquote psychology degree because he went on to a master's to make $16,000 to $18,000 investment worth it.
Yep.
My other son wanted to be a computer science guy. So his analysis was different. I think we came out with about $27,000 to $32,000 he should not come out with over that in debt to look at long term to see exactly what what it was going to be worth.
Right.
And yeah, I'm giving a plug for my Clark Financial Coaching. How to look me up, because this is the kind of stuff that I do, help you look in the future. He literally came out with like $9,000 in debt, and he's got it paid off, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
So, but most students, they not walk through that.
They don't go in with a plan.
No.
They just think, oh, I'm going to go to college. I get to party a little bit. I'll go to class, show up. I'll figure out my degree later. And then they're 3 years in, and they're like, just, what credits do I have left to take to just get one of these degrees? It's just they just go in. I mean, I think I've heard some people say that they tell their kids, like, when they graduate high school, take a couple years, travel, do whatever, and then take that time to figure out what you want to do before you just jump into college and start spending money and taking out loans.
But the system penalizes those people.
Yeah.
Because you're losing life or hope scholarships. Yep. You're losing the other scholarships coming out. It's like you've got to start right out of high school if you want this other stuff. And you can still get loans.
Right.
But any of the free money or the scholarship money is going to go away.
Right.
And that's wrong. We should give. I mean, a lot of European countries and all, Israel, you spend 2 years in the military.
Right.
18, you go to military, then you go to college.
Yep.
And the ones that are using, in my college, the ones that are using the GI Bill, they usually a lot more focused, a whole lot more focused, even if they just spent 2 years in the Army.
I'm sure. They've learned, they've learned a lot of skills by being in the military. You're going to get a lot of different skills there. Discipline is the big one.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of, I mean, when I was in my 20s, I had very little discipline. Getting into real estate was great for me because I had to schedule clients. I had to show up. I didn't make $1 if I didn't sell something. So it wasn't like, I can just show up and kind of get through the day. It was like, well, you were here 8 hours and you did nothing. You made $0. So
exactly.
I had to force discipline, or I was just going to be broke forever.
And that's what college should be doing.
Right.
I mean, it used to be you had to be there before the door closed. You had discipline. There's stuff to be done.
Yep.
When I went to college, there was 2 grades in most of my classes: a midterm with about anywhere from 25 to 35%, and a final. That was it. There was no papers. There was nothing else. You either got the material or you didn't.
Right.
But now we give so much. But this historic learning loss. I mean, we were already before 2020 already having issues in the system.
Yeah.
And now we have this huge gap in knowledge for so many students.
Yeah.
And a lot of them that were young during that era got pushed through, and now they're in classes that are above their heads in middle school and high school, but being pushed through there too. Yeah. Because, you had a bad time, and they said, we're just going to help you out and get you on through this.
Right.
But then they'll learn the material. That's the hardest thing I have for my students to learn is you're not here to check boxes and take tests and do this problem and that kind of thing. You're here to be able to use the knowledge I'm giving you.
Right.
And it's my first test every semester. My average is in the 40s.
Yeah.
Out of 100.
Whew.
And my A students freak out.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to making anything below A.
Right.
And they got a 68 on it. And I've had people in my office crying.
Oh, I believe it.
But by the end of the semester, they're back up to the A.
Yeah.
But now they have critical thinking skills they didn't have before.
Right. And it teaches, when you make something difficult like that and people who are used to being successful because it's been too easy fail, that's the biggest teacher of all.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd heard people say that all my life, but some of the most valuable lessons I've learned and that have stuck with me and toughened me are been times where I made a mistake that costed me money or costed me time or costed me clients or whatever it was in my career or just in my personal life, mistakes I've made that have costed me a relationship. Yeah. And you learn from those, and because you don't forget big mistakes like that because you don't want to make them twice.
Pain.
You don't forget exactly, and it sticks with you, and it creates a personality. It creates a little bit more drive, and you learn. You can choose not to learn from your failures, but I think most people do. And I think it, like you said, like the school system. I remember when I was in high school, there'd be a test. We'd have a test, and nobody had studied for it, and we'd all do bad, and so they would curve the grade based off of the lowest, and then all of a sudden I went from a D to a B on the same paper, and it's like, well, that's not teaching me anything except that somebody's going to bail me out. Yeah. And the only people that get bailed out in this country are banks when the financial markets crash. If we don't get bailed out. That's not how life works unless you're a bank.
Lack and all that was based on lack of robust scientific support, which is a nice way of saying is they didn't know what they were doing. They just was pulling straws. I mean, I know the 6 feet thing. I've seen it many places was just pulled out of thin air. Mm-hmm. And one person had come up with 12 feet and nobody will buy that. We need to cut 6.
Yeah, it's a joke.
And the mask, same thing. The mask, you can go and pull mask reports still, before COVID about surgical mask and how they do little or nothing. They do help
nothing.
some.
Yeah, but there's not enough to even matter.
With COVID being so small, it didn't do anything for COVID.
Right.
I mean, and so all these, and then we just ignored them. We ignored everything just because the government said so.
I remember I was in, I guess I'll throw out the city name because I don't like that city because they make me mad. That one time pissed me off. But and we're not on the radio anymore.
Yeah, we're on the podcast.
We're on the podcast now. But
say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. There we go. That was Wes's first cuss word on air.
Is that a cuss word?
Well, maybe not. Maybe the way if you use it the wrong way, I guess it kind of is.
I guess
we'll give you that one. So now we're both at one. I've done pretty well for myself for somebody who uses colorful language. Sometimes I've been pretty good on air. But so I was in Raleigh during COVID. It was like Raleigh wasn't still completely locked down, but it was like during the social distancing and like 50% capacity restaurant days. Like not long. It's such a joke. It's like we're breathing the same air. It's going through this ventilation system. It's being recirculated. It doesn't matter where I'm at in this restaurant. I'm going to get COVID if somebody else has it.
Exactly.
Anyway, so it was like 50%. So I walked in, didn't have a mask on because I was like, masks are a joke. I was totally against masks. Nobody sitting down eating had masks on because they're eating.
Yeah.
You didn't have to. Nobody at the bar had masks on. I walked past the hostess stand, walked to the bar, about to order a drink. The hostess walks over to me first and says, "Sir, you gotta go back out. You have to have a mask." And I like literally look around and I'm like, "Well, nobody in here has a mask on." She's like, "But to come in the restaurant, you have to have one on." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, "Well, that's ridiculous." I was like, Do you literally think that COVID only affects people at the hostess stand, and once you get over here, it doesn't exist anymore?" And then the manager hears me kind of getting loud with the girl because I'm like so frustrated. This is the stupidest concept I've ever heard of in my life. My logical brain cannot wrap my head around that mentality. The manager comes over and he's like, "Listen, I get that this is a dumb rule. This is the governor's rule. I legally can't let you come in the restaurant without a mask on. I understand that nobody in here has them on, and it doesn't change anything, but you have to walk in with one." So I like went outside and found I ripped a shirt. I didn't have any mask with me. I ripped off a piece of a shirt, walked in, had it on for like a half a second, walked past the hostess stand, got to the bar area, took it off, and all was well in the world. I was like, well, I'm safe from COVID for today.
That happened here. It is a restaurant. I won't call out on.
Call them out.
No,
call
I'm
them
not
out.
calling
I know. I'm joking. I'll call out a city, but I won't call out the restaurant I was
it's
at
local
either.
too, so.
Oh, okay. We won't do that.
But I still haven't been back. But just because they had same thing happen. This couple came in, and everybody had to have a mask on. The table was literally right by the front door, and the guy just said, "No, I'm not putting a mask on." Sat down.
Yeah.
And then they literally took. They were going to call the police and take him out, all because he walked 2 feet to sit down at a table without a mask. And that was a local one here. This was right at the beginning of everything when everybody was panicked, right after they opened back up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, fine. You just won't see my food again. I miss their hamburgers, but they won't see my money again. You're thinking now, huh?
Was it North Myrtle Beach?
It was in North Myrtle Beach.
I bet I could guess.
You probably could. So policies ignored natural immunity. This is the one that always threw me for a loop back in 2020 when we were going through this. This whole thing of your body is not strong enough to make the antibodies for this. Basically, no, herd immunity does not count.
Right.
Even though we have decades, centuries old evidence of herd immunity, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right.
Pushing mandates that eroded trust and harm public perception of science.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. You don't believe the science? Well, I believe science when science is science.
Right, when it's actually science.
Not Fauci. Fauci's not science.
Yeah, politicians aren't scientists. Just because they say it and the media spins it doesn't mean that I'm going against science because I don't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you show me actual studies that back up what you're saying. I'll read the studies. Like, I don't enjoy reading studies, but I've read a couple when I've been questioning something. And you can't. There's no evidence because none of it was real. They just made it all up. It was all made up.
That's exactly right.
And nobody's going to get in trouble for any forcing the vaccine. That was a money grab. You're welcome, Pfizer.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Moderna. You're welcome, Johnson & Johnson. Y'all already tried to kill babies with talcum powder, and now now we're back with vaccines.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're definitely not going to get this on YouTube. Now it's definitely going to get shut down.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, though. It's all about the money. Follow the money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and that goes number 5 on that, what Rogan said. WHO, the World Health Organization, and CDC, compromised by political interference. Yeah. Well, we knew that from day one because the biggest backer of the World Health Organization is China.
Yeah.
And they were pulling all the strings over there.
Oh, yeah.
Offering inconsistent, unscientific guidance that fueled public distrust.
Yeah.
So those people like you who are like, okay, I can't logically get my head around this. You're not giving me any evidence to help me with it. They just pretty much said, well, just be quiet and do what we say.
Yeah, and most people did.
That's what's so
I
scary.
had clients.
That was scared me to death.
On both sides of the political aisle, that when I told them because I did end up getting the first round, but I waited a long time to do it, and I still shouldn't have done it. I regret that I even caved in and listened. But I listened to some people who were doctors telling me that, like, hey, we're seeing a lot of people come in your age that are really sick from this, which was probably true, but they neglected the fact that they were extremely unhealthy already.
I was going to say, they're probably obese overweight.
Yeah, and they didn't tell me that part.
Yeah,
and not that they were trying to like hide that part, but I don't think they thought at that time that
but
maybe
the doctors,
that was they should. Well, that's a podcast episode about how our medical system works. That's a whole joke in itself. The pharmaceutical company runs that, and that I don't think the incentives that doctors get from pharmaceutical companies should even be allowed, or their commercials on air, because all I see on TV now are pharmaceutical companies. Anyway, I lost my.
I hope that's the first thing RFK does.
Yeah, get rid of that. That money should not be in the. Stop paying CNN.
One of the worst things that happened is when we started allowing drug companies to advertise the medicine.
Yeah.
That should be the doctor's place to know to do research. But our doctors don't do research now. They're too busy being pushed to see patients.
Yep.
I heard the other day there's one doctor here locally. My wife's in the medical industry. And she said he's seeing like 55 patients a day.
You can't take care of anybody when you're seeing that many people.
No, there's no way.
You can't. You're not looking out for the best interest. It's a money. You're literally just you're pumping out numbers. Get them in and out so we can make money. Let me just. They're treating, but they're not fixing the problem. They're like, let's put you on something because I'm getting kickbacks. I know this medicine works. The side effects are minimal. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Drugs. Money. And
there was money tied to the vaccine. I found many reports on if a doctor got 100% of his customers to take it, how much money they got. I forget at this point. Yeah. And you saw that if somebody got admitted under COVID at the hospital, how much the hospital got, and if they died, designated as COVID, they got money for that. From the government.
So they were marking everything as COVID deaths. Like, somebody come with the flu.
There was one in Murrells Inlet here. I don't know if you follow the story or not, but there's one family whose son or somebody in the family died in a motorcycle accident. And death certificate said COVID. And there was another one that actually fought it. Their mother or father was in a nursing home. Never tested positive for COVID, but when they got death certificate, it said COVID. And they had to fight the whole establishment to get it changed. But it's all because that nursing home, or the hospital they ended up at, got money because it was COVID. And so the distrust, they fueled the distrust because it just makes sense. Yeah,
it's all comes back to the pharmaceutical companies with that. And I even watched a clip the other day of this guy. He was on, I don't know what podcast he was on, but he was a pharmacist. He owned a pharmacy. And he said, if a lady comes in and she needs, I don't remember what it was some drug that she was like, this drug cost me $2. If somebody comes in and tells me they're paying cash, it's $4. I make $2 off of them. But he says if somebody comes in, as soon as they tell me they have insurance, I have a gag order with the pharmaceutical companies that make these drugs that say that I can't disclose the cash price to them once you said you have insurance. And so now I'll charge them $7 for the same drug that I could sell them for $4. They'll still pay their copay of $4. And he gets the $2, but the difference goes back to the insurance company.
Oh my gracious.
And that this was a actual pharmacist saying this on the. It just shows you it's just all a scam, and that's got to change. And that's what I'm hoping. One thing I'm happy with RFK, that he understands all of this, and I'm hoping he doesn't get corrupted and he goes in there and can fix some of this because the medical system's a joke.
I don't think he'll bow. I mean, he's too established.
He doesn't seem like he would.
If he was going to bow, he would have bowed to his family already.
Yeah, he would have he could have probably been the Democratic nominee if he would have shut his mouth, because he would have had a better chance of winning than Kamala. If he had just shut up and been a straight of the road Democrat, like don't talk about pharmaceutical companies, don't talk about the pollution, don't talk about anything that they're doing that are paying money to the Democratic Party. Shut up and be a Democrat. And he didn't do that. He said, "Well, I'll just run as an independent and show you." Granted, that's unfortunately not a way to win a presidency in this country. It should be,
but it did give him power. Now.
It did give him power. It gave him a platform.
That was the whole thing.
Yep.
A lot of these people run just so they can have a voice in what's coming next.
Yeah, and I think if he makes some things actually happen and doesn't bow down, I think he'll have. I think you'll see him on the Republican side of the aisle making some real change for the next few terms. Maybe not in a presidential position, but like overrunning some of these government agencies that need to be cleaned out. And it's
I hope.
But all this comes back to corruption. I know we went off the rails with colleges and everything else, but it's all corruption and money.
It is. And and actually goes along with the sixth one that Brogan read. Key players, including federal agencies and Cuomo's administration, he's talking about New York, actively obstructed oversight efforts, and hide critical evidence. Because they knew they'd done wrong. And that's why Biden's talking about the pardons we're going to talk about on the next podcast.
Yeah.
Is that they know they did stuff wrong, and now they're trying to make sure they don't get caught for it.
Yeah, I mean they're literally in that they're literally saying we have proof that fraud happened.
Yeah.
And they're all going to get pardoned for it, and nobody's going to serve a day in prison. Nobody's going to have to pay any money. No, all the pharmaceutical industries are protected by laws that they can't be sued, so they're good to go no matter what, which is unbelievable to me. So nobody's going to get in trouble for this, and American people, once again, will be the ones to suffer like always.
Always.
Whether it's the housing crisis, COVID, anything, it is always small businesses and innocent homeowners or whatever, that from predatory lending to predatory medicine to whatever they want to do. It's predatory and it's fraud and it's wrong.
We need to have a podcast on the predatory lending, because that actually came from the government. That didn't come from the banks. The banks were just trying to make money.
Oh yeah, no, it was all the government.
But I'm not saying the banks were without
didn't know what was going on. They knew what was going on.
But I mean, then they asked. They told the government, we can't make these loans. We won't get paid back.
Right.
The government says we'll do it anyway.
Yeah, we got you. We'll bail you out. Don't worry. Yeah.
Which is going to lead us into our next podcast on Wednesday, which is we're talking about the more government corruption, because also today the Judicial Committee released a report on weaponization of the banking industry, the Bank Secrecy Act to spy on Americans. And it will lead that right into the pardons that Biden's talking about.
I wonder if part of that has to do with this new act that's in place where I have to any LLC that I own, I have to go. Okay, I've had to do that already.
Has something to do it. Yeah, if you don't do it, it's
the fines
$1,000 a day.
Yeah,
or is it more than that?
No, it's $1,000
a day.
Yeah, my attorney told me to do it. My financial advisor's like, "Hey, you got to get this done." It's no joke.
Who helped you do it? Because
I was able to do it myself.
CPAs don't want to touch it because it's not IRS. This is not about IRS stuff.
No, this is.
And then I know a lot of lawyers don't want to touch it because they don't know what's coming.
My attorney didn't do it for me. Guided me on how to go do it. It takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, I saw the page.
They ask a lot of questions.
I actually closed the one LLC I had. I closed December 31st last year because I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I just do it under my own Social Security number.
Yeah, for my rental properties and then my real estate business and the mortgage, I have to keep them LLCs. There's no way around it.
I wished I had something like that. I had to have it too, but that'll come one days.
There you go.
Maybe it'll be Dollars and Cents Podcast.
That's right. There you go. Dollars and Cents Podcast, LLC.
There you go. All right, we'll wrap this one up.
Yep, we'll see you on the next one, guys. When life gets unpredictable, turn to a partner you can trust. At Bobby Clary State Farm, we've got you covered. Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, we're dedicated to providing personalized coverage that fits your needs. With our friendly and knowledgeable team, navigating your insurance options have never been easier. Visit BobbyClary.com or call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right. Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and give us feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and X at dollarscentsgs. You can follow us on Facebook at Dollars and Cents. Listen to us on the podcast format at Dollars and Cents Podcast, and you can also find us on YouTube at the Dollars and Cents Podcast. Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family-owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872.
The holidays are almost here, so it's time to get your financial picture wrapped up so you can have a great Christmas and a happy new year. Reach out to me at coachwestc@gmail.com to get some financial coaching.